Have you ever wondered, will we recognize our loved ones in heaven? Will the bonds we built on earth carry over into eternity? Or will everything change? It's a question that tugs at the hearts of so many. The idea of an afterlife is comforting, but the thought of being there without the people we cherish, that's unsettling. If you've ever lost someone, a parent, a spouse, a child, you've likely thought about this. You've imagined that moment of reunion, the overwhelming joy of seeing their face again. But what does eternity truly hold for us? Is it possible that heaven is a place where our families remain, where love endures? Or do we become something entirely new, losing all memory of the people who meant the most to us? This is not just a theological debate. This is deeply personal. And today we're going to explore the truth, the real truth, about family in heaven. What does Scripture say? What do spiritual experiences suggest? And most importantly, what does this mean for you and the people you love? First, let's talk about something we all understand: human connection. There's a reason why the thought of losing the people we love feels unbearable. Love is not just an emotion, it's a bond, a force that transcends time. When someone passes away, we don't stop loving them. We don't stop feeling connected to them. In fact, in many ways, that love deepens. Think about it. Have you ever had a moment where you felt the presence of someone you've lost? A dream so vivid it felt real? A moment where you knew, without a doubt, that they were still with you in some way. These experiences aren't just wishful thinking. They reveal something profound about the nature of love and existence. Now let's go deeper. If we believe in a loving Creator, does it make sense that He would design relationships that are meant to be broken? Would He build families only to tear them apart in eternity? Many people turn to Scripture for answers, and the Bible does give us glimpses of what the afterlife might look like. One of the most compelling examples comes from the story of the Transfiguration. When Jesus was on the mountain, He was seen speaking with Moses and Elijah. Think about that. These were men who had lived centuries apart, and yet they were recognizable. They weren't nameless spirits. They weren't absorbed into some faceless existence. They had their identities, and this tells us something crucial. Our individuality continues beyond this life. We are not erased. We don't dissolve into some collective consciousness where names and faces no longer matter. We remain us. But what about relationships? Do those remain? If we still know who we are, does that mean we still know who others are? Jesus gives another clue in His words to the thief on the cross. He didn't say, "You will become a new being without memory of your past life." No. He said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." A direct promise of companionship, of presence. This implies recognition, familiarity, something deeply personal. And if we take that further, we realize something incredible. Heaven is not a place of loneliness. It's not a place where love is forgotten. Instead, it's a place where love reaches its full potential. But here's where things get interesting. Some people argue that relationships will change in heaven. They point to Jesus' words in Matthew 22, where He says that in the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage, and this confuses many. If there's no marriage, does that mean we lose those deep, intimate connections? This is where we need to step back and ask, what is Jesus really saying here? Is He saying that love ends, that bonds disappear? Or is He saying that relationships will exist on a level far greater than we can comprehend? Because if heaven is perfect, if it is a place of complete joy, then it cannot be a place of loss. It cannot be a place where we grieve the people we once knew. Instead, it must be a place where relationships reach their purest form. Imagine a love that is not bound by human flaws, by jealousy, by insecurity. Imagine knowing someone fully, without fear, without misunderstanding. Imagine a connection that is deeper, richer, and more beautiful than anything we've ever experienced here. That is the promise of eternity. And that raises another question. If relationships continue, what about those we have lost? What about family members who did not believe, who lived differently, who perhaps even hurt us? Will we still know them? Will we still care? These are heavy questions, and they deserve real answers. So, let's keep going. If we carry our identities into eternity, if we recognize and love those we knew on earth, what happens to those who live differently? What about the people we lost in more ways than one? The family members who strayed, who rejected faith, who perhaps even hurt us? Will we still feel the same love for them in heaven? This question is difficult because it touches something deeply personal. Some of us have lost loved ones who didn't share our beliefs. Some of us have complicated family histories, relationships filled with pain, betrayal, and unresolved wounds. And when we think about heaven, we wonder, what does that mean for them, for us? If heaven is a place of perfect joy, does that mean we forget those who aren't there? Does it mean we stop caring? That idea doesn't sit well with most of us. And yet, the thought of carrying sorrow into paradise seems just as impossible. So how do we reconcile this? One of the most important things to understand is that heaven operates beyond our limited human emotions. Here on earth, love is often tangled with pain. We grieve, we worry, we fear losing people. But in heaven, love exists in its purest form, without suffering. That means that whatever happens, however God has designed eternity, it will not bring us sorrow. That doesn't mean we stop loving. In fact, it means we will love more completely than we ever have before. But that love will be in perfect alignment with divine justice, with truth, with the full understanding of God's plan. And that's where trust comes in. We may not fully grasp how everything will work now, but we can trust that God's design for eternity will be perfect. And here's something to consider. What if heaven is not just about who makes it, but about the ultimate restoration of love itself? What if the connections we lost on earth are redeemed in ways beyond our imagination? Many believe that part of heaven's beauty is that it is a place of healing, where every broken relationship is restored, every hurt is made right. Think about the parable of the prodigal son. The father didn't cast away his lost child forever. He waited. He longed for his return. And when the son finally came back, there was no hesitation, no rejection, only joy. Now imagine that multiplied by eternity. This brings us to another critical question. What about those we struggled to love on earth? The people we clashed with? The ones we had unresolved conflict with? Will those relationships still matter in eternity? Absolutely. But they will exist in their most complete healed form. Imagine seeing someone who once hurt you, not as they were, but as who they were truly meant to be. Imagine a world where no resentment lingers, where misunderstandings are erased, where we see each other fully, with absolute clarity and love. In heaven, love is not diminished, it is perfected. But then, what about those who truly rejected God? Those who never wanted anything to do with love, with truth, with eternity? Will we still recognize them? Will we grieve them? This is one of the hardest aspects to understand. Some believe that the separation of souls from God means that those who are not in heaven will simply not be part of our reality, that we will not feel their absence because our focus will be on the perfection of what is before us. Others believe that God's mercy extends beyond what we can comprehend, that redemption is greater than we ever imagined. What we do know is this: heaven is not a place of regret. It is not a place of sorrow. Whatever happens to those who rejected truth, whatever judgment looks like, it will not leave us broken. It will not cast a shadow over eternity. And maybe that's the most powerful thing to hold on to. The love we have for our family, the deep desire to be with them forever, is not just wishful thinking. It is a reflection of something real. It is a glimpse of eternity itself. So, if you've ever wondered, will I know my family in heaven? The answer is yes. But more than that, you will know them as they were truly meant to be. You will love them without fear, without distance, without any of the pain that life placed between you. And that leaves one final pressing question. What can we do now in this life to strengthen those bonds? To make sure that the love we share on earth extends into eternity? If heaven is a place where love is perfected, where family bonds are restored, where we recognize and cherish those we knew on earth, then the question we must ask ourselves is this: what are we doing today to prepare for that? Because if relationships matter in eternity, they certainly matter now. Think about it. If we truly believe that we will see our loved ones again in heaven, wouldn't that change the way we treat them today? Wouldn't that shift our priorities? The arguments, the grudges, the distance we sometimes allow to grow between us? Does any of it truly matter when we consider the reality of forever? We often take our families for granted. We assume there will always be time. Time to fix things. Time to say the words we've been holding back. But life is fragile. And what if today is the last opportunity we have to love fully, to forgive completely, to bridge the gaps that have formed? So many of us hold on to pain, onto misunderstandings, onto the belief that some relationships are too broken to fix. But heaven teaches us something different. It teaches us that nothing is beyond redemption, that love is never wasted, that the effort we put into our families today echoes into eternity. If there is someone in your life you need to forgive, do it. If there is someone you need to reach out to, don't wait. If there is someone you love but haven't told in a long time, say it now. Because heaven is not just a future destination. It is something we begin to build right here, in our hearts, in our homes, in the way we love the people God has placed in our lives. And maybe that's the greatest truth of all. The idea that heaven is not just about where we go, but who we become. That the relationships we nurture today, the love we choose to give freely, are all preparing us for the perfect love we will experience in eternity. If heaven is a place of perfect love, perfect connection, and eternal reunion, then the way we live today carries far more weight than we realize. We often go through life thinking about heaven as something distant, something we will experience one day. But what if the relationships we cultivate now are already shaping our experience of eternity? What if heaven is not just a place we go, but something we actively prepare for through the love we give, the way we forgive, and the bonds we strengthen? This changes everything. Imagine entering heaven and being greeted by the people you loved most on earth. Imagine their faces, their laughter, their joy at seeing you again. Now ask yourself, if that moment were to happen today, would you be at peace? Would there be regrets? Are there words left unspoken, apologies left unsaid, love left ungiven? Many of us carry wounds from family relationships. We have disagreements that went unresolved, loved ones we drifted away from, moments we wish we could take back, and yet we live as though there will always be another chance. But what if heaven isn't just about the future? What if the way we love today directly shapes the love we will experience in eternity? The Bible speaks of storing up treasures in heaven, of building rewards that are eternal. And while we often think of these treasures as acts of service or faith, could it be that the love we pour into our relationships is part of that treasure? That every time we choose to love selflessly, to forgive, to put aside pride and mend what is broken, we are investing in something that will last forever? Because here's the truth. Love is the only thing we can take with us. Not our possessions, not our status, not our achievements. Only love. So what does that mean for you right now? It means that the way we love our families today is not just about making life on earth better. It's about preparing for eternity. It means that every effort to reconnect, to heal, to forgive is not wasted. It is a reflection of the heavenly reality we are destined for. Think about the relationships in your life that need mending. Maybe it's a sibling you haven't spoken to in years, a parent you have a complicated history with, a child you wish you could understand better, a friend who once felt like family but became a stranger over time. What if, instead of waiting for heaven to make things right, you took the first step now? What if you reached out? What if you let go of the pain and embraced love instead? Because here's something powerful. Heaven is not just about reunion. It is about redemption. The love we long to experience in eternity begins now in the choices we make, in the love we give, in the bridges we build before it's too late. And this isn't just about family by blood. This is about the people God has placed in your life, the ones who have shaped you, who have been part of your journey. Because in heaven, family is not just limited to genetics, it is bound by love, by faith, by the deep and lasting connections that transcend this world. So ask yourself, who do you need to forgive today? Who do you need to reach out to? What broken relationship needs healing? What words have you been holding back? Because if we truly believe that we will see our loved ones again, that we will embrace them in eternity, then why not start living that truth now? Why not choose love while we still have time? And here's the final challenge. Take action. Don't just think about it. Do something today that reflects the kind of love you want to carry into eternity. Send that message, make that phone call, offer that forgiveness. Say, "I love you," before it's too late. Because one day, when you stand in heaven and look around at the faces of those you love, you'll know you did everything you could to make sure love lasted forever. But here's where it gets personal. What does this mean for you? Do you believe you will see your family in heaven? Do you believe love continues beyond this life? And if so, how does that change the way you live right now? I want to hear your thoughts. Who is that one person you can't wait to see again in heaven? Who is the person you hope to reconnect with one day? And what will you do today to make sure that bond remains strong? Drop your answers in the comments. Let's start a conversation about love, about family, about what truly matters beyond this life. Because in the end, that's what we all long for. To know that the love we give, the connections we cherish, will last forever.